Thank you so much. Aloha mai kako. I'm Wally, and I'm so grateful to be here to share really my mana'o with you folks. And what I'm about to share is something that in my journey in life, I didn't realize, and until you reach certain times in your life where you really look back, that my grandparents, my uncles, my parents, my ancestors was teaching me the path of life. And what I'm about to share with you is nothing from the books. It's my journey. It's what I was taught. And in some sense, trying to live and trying to share with people. But really, everything started to come to place when I started working with youth. I'm from Oahu. I came here about 17, 18 years ago. But my first challenge, I guess, was when I worked on Oahu at Salvation Army Residential Treatment Program. At that time, I was just looking for one job. But it was a treatment program and was working with the severely emotionally disturbed youths. And it was a tremendous eye-opener. I was both their teacher, their father, for some of them, their only parents. And I realized real quickly that even though I was there in one way to teach them the ABCs, or the 3 R's, that we couldn't even go there at that time. They were emotionally just disconnected. The behaviors was something that I'd never seen. So it was very humbling. I spent 8 years there, and for many of it, they taught me a lot. And I hope I was able to teach them a little bit. But I remember going out one day and meeting one of my client's parents in Waimanalo. And he was a pig farmer. And I was there really to try to help them, to figure out what role I can do, what I can do as their case manager to help the family and help his son. And the first thing I remember, and he's there cooking the slop for the pig. And I introduced myself, and he just basically said, "Who you, Wally? Who you?" And that's when I realized, I put down my book, and I say, "Hi, I'm Wally. This is where I'm from. Talk about my family, my interests." And the relationship started from there. It was what I call ho'olauna, to make a relationship, to connect. I was always there with the good intentions. But he had to know me, and I had to know him. And from there, we could build that journey to helping the family. I left Salvation Army. I ended up at Kamehameha Schools. And I worked with what then I now call the at-promise kids, not at risk. Every child, everybody is an at-promise person. But I spent 20 years with Kamehameha. And I remember my first group of kids went into family court, and the judge at that time at Leeward Family Court said, "Here's your 20 boys, Wally." And we ended up at a place now called Kuolina, in a place called Lani Kuhunua. We lived 20 months with the kids there. They stayed with us. And again, I go back, and it was to teach them about the ABCs. And again, I run right into the same problem. It wasn't about the ABCs. It's about how you care, how you solve problems, how you respect for each other. So through that, we developed a thing called Keala Kupono, the path to rightness. Keala, the path, Pono, to make right. And what we did is we took a look at certain values that we wanted to share with the students, but also to make sure we as the kumus, the teachers, the staff there, had to live by. One of the first ones that we used was huiki mai, huiki haku, hui mai. Mutual respect for each other. And what we break that down to, and it goes back to my first client that had a Salvation Army, it's that old saying, I guess, my mom used to say to me, and that's where I go back now, to my upbringing. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. She always used to tell me that. Seek first to understand, then to be understood. Listen to the other person first, because we always try to come in and try to help. So when we did that with these young men at Lanikuhonua, where we lived together, we spent a lot of time talking about that. Seeking first to understand, then to be understood. Be that active listener, which is so hard. The kupunas always used to say, Keakua gave you 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Observe more, listen more, talk less. But when you observe more and when you listen more, listen with the 3rd ear and observe with the 3rd eye. Go deep into the na'au. So we had that as part of our keala pukono to make things right. The other one that we had, I think was part of one of the C's, was collaboration, cooperation. For us, we called it laulima, working together. And we saw that growing up in our family when we made luau's. The family sort of just came together and everybody had their kuleana, their things to do. What is kalua pig, lomi salmon, and so forth along the way. And that was being taught to us right then and there. So what we did is that we look at laulima, but we broke it down a little bit more. So when we talked to not only ourselves, the staff, because we had to live it, but for the students themselves, laulima is about lending one hand. Lend a hand. As one kupuna told me, it's not about give me, give me, give me. You got to turn the hand over and go into the lo'i patch and get your hands dirty. So laulima, lend a hand. Laulima is also about accepting responsibility, your kuleana, whatever that task is, and doing it to the best you can. Laulima is about uniting in harmony with each other, working together, but uniting in harmony. Laulima is also about learning from each other, learning from about each other. Laulima is also about managing your resources. Resources is not endless. We have to manage our resource right. But the one that I love the best, and I kind of heard it in here, is laulima is about appreciating everyone's effort in the group and making it a point at the end of the day to say mahalo and really appreciate it. So we had that on our keala kupono to make things right. The last, one of the other ones, and we used a lot, was ho'oponopono, right? To make right. And I remember growing up, we had Ho'oponopono sessions in our house. And I'll be the first to say that I never wanted to go to the Ho'oponopono sessions. Because first of all, is that part of it at that time never did, whatever the misbehavior wasn't about me. It was about uncle or my cousin. Why I gotta sit down inside this thing until we figure it out? So I came in with a bad attitude, right? And you just gotta go on. So at our program, things happen. So they'll say, Wally, we gotta have one Ho'oponopono. So I call everybody, 20 kids, staff. So about 30 of us, Ho'oponopono. Well, guess what? The kids had the same attitude. Why I gotta come over here? It's between these two guys, not me. Even the staff was revolting against me. So I went to one kupuna and she told me, Wally, maybe you don't have to do Ho'oponopono. What you're trying to do is to Ho'opono, to make right. So I said, okay, keep talking kupuna because where are we going with this? She said, maybe instead of Ho'oponopono, where you gotta bring everybody together, maybe you ought to have one thing called kuka kuka. Discuss. Long story short, this is Wally's version now, right? And as I ask the blessings of the ancestors, I hope they don't mind, because I had to make it in reality for me. You really wanted to do is to Ho'opono, to make things right. But sometimes, like in anything, you want to do preventative work. Why wait till you gotta get so serious that it's gonna be very, very difficult. So this is my thing, talking to the kupunas. Ho'opono, make right. But the first stage of making right is puli halavai. Puli, to pray. Halavai, to gather. So what we did is, and I try to do it still yet. It is always a work in progress. I don't do them every day. But with me and my wife, or when I had my child and my grandson, before we went to sleep, we just gathered around the table, hold hand. And only thing we would say, or I would say, is, if I might have done anything wrong today to any of you, ikalamai, I apologize. And remember my son tell, hey, Pops, what you did? You never do nothing wrong to me. I says, hey, I don't know, but I just want to clear the air. And then my wife and my son and my grandson would put it. I call that the prevention. Easy, right? You can say that in, a couple minutes. Okay, man, I'm going back already. Puli halavai. The next one is, and sort of still prevention, I guess, is vala'au. Vala'au, to talk story. We might have an issue. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what is it. We can solve it rather quickly. Some misunderstanding, but nothing too heavy. The next one is kuka kuka. Okay. We got to talk now. And maybe we got to bring somebody in if we cannot have this discussion. Vala'au is just to talk story. Kuka kuka, you're getting a little bit deeper now. Yeah? There's some little issues. If we can work it out, great. If we cannot, we're going to get one haku or somebody to come in to help us facilitate that. Ho'oponopono, you're going deep already. And as they say in Ho'oponopono, it's like what you call an onion. You take in one layer after a time. Well, my thing is, if we can puli halavai at the top, maybe you don't let the onion grow too big. You're not going to get one Maui sweet onion after that one, man. So you might as well try do more at the top than wait to the Ho'oponopono. Because at the end of the day, the only thing you're trying to do is make right along the way, along there. But sometimes in doing that, it takes a lot of courage. Yeah. And I think that's one of the C's too. In Hawaiians, we call them the nakoas. The nakoa is not the big warrior with the big muscles. The nakoa is to be courageous. And growing up, the kupunas, and they used to say, bipono. We hear that, right? Bipono. We also hear the word bipolole. Guess what? Pono to make right, polole to make right. Confusion. I said, what's the difference? Polole, pono. Both the same. Both important. So this is Wally's version again. To be pono is to be right. But to be pono is to be right from the na'au. When people say, who are going to be pono, they don't point to the head. They point to the heart, to the na'au. To be pono is to be morally correct. You got to be, it's deep. It's deep. To be polole is to be correct. But to be polole is to be correct from the head. For example, somebody will teach me that 1 and 1 is 2. A comes before B. Well, one teacher wouldn't say that, right? One person said that. That is important. Man makes rules. We have to follow rules. But to be pono is to be morally correct. To be polole is to be correct from the head. Both got to work together. But as a Hawaiian, I was always taught, as a Hawaiian martial artist, let me say, as a Lua practitioner, if I had to choose between what is pono and what is polole, which one you think I gotta choose? Pono. Because that, for the Hawaiians, comes from a higher power. That comes from the ancestors. The polole, which is equally as important, where it came from. Mr. Kadang. Right? Which is all good. Why I say that? Because many times in our lives, we have to make the choice. Do I go polole or do I go pono? And we all get that in us. I listen to I watch The Voice, right? And the judge, oh man, I get on that one, but I'm going to go with my gut. Right? I'm going to go with my gut. That's the pono. As the tweedly bird talking inside there. For the Hawaiians, as the ancestors. But we all faced with that. So to me, it's about trying to make this place a better place. Sometimes we're going to have to step out of that comfort zone and do what is pono. Even though the e-haze, the spear's going to fly at you. Because you're doing something that is morally correct. Not only for you and the community. And I'll go back. I finally realized this is what my parents and my grandparents and my uncles were saying to me. And in my daily life, it's just a journey that I'm on, that I try to practice it in my own ways. And I use Keala Kupono, that path to rightness, as a guide on this journey that I'm on. So again, on behalf of not me, but my ancestors and my parents, it's a great honor to share Mana'o with you folks. Mahalo.